Welcome, everyone. We're excited you're here to learn more about the Dell Scholars Program. This is an amazing opportunity for high school seniors. And if you aren't a senior quite yet, we're glad you're here too. This information will prepare you for the Dell Scholars application process when you do become a senior. And for any parents or guardians in the audience, we welcome you as well. My name is Cindy Ayala, and I am part of the marketing team here at Avid. I am joined by my wonderful co-host, Sonia Demps, who is the Manager of Operations and Engagement for Dell Scholars at the Michael and Susan Dell Foundation. Additionally, we have Abby Dorsey, who is also part of our Avid marketing team, supporting with the chat, and Diana Long, who is part of the Michael and Susan Dell Foundation team, who will be supporting with the Q&A. Today, Sonia will give us an overview of the Dell Scholars Program, and we will spend most of the time today during this webinar answering your questions, either about the Dell Scholars Program or the application itself. So just a few logistics before we start. Please submit any questions you have throughout the webinar by using the Q&A button near the bottom of your screen. We will address as many questions as we can during the webinar. If there are any questions we don't get to today, we encourage you to reach out to the Dell Scholars Program team with your questions following the webinar. We will put information in the chat on how to contact the Dell Scholars team. If you are having technical difficulties during the webinar, please put that in the chat so we can support with the issue as best we can. Now, I'd like to invite Sonia to tell us more about the Dell Scholars Program.
Thanks, Cindy. Hi, everyone. I'm so excited to be here to talk to you all about the Dell Scholars Program and just give you all a quick overview on how you as AVID students can actually apply for our Dell Scholarship. So thank you so much for joining us. I know it's late after school and so forth. And so we really appreciate you taking the time to learn more about our program. The great thing about this is it's literally only takes 10 minutes to complete the first initial phase of the Dell Scholars application. And so we're so excited to talk you through that and provide you a little bit more insight. So just so you all know, with the Dell Scholars Program, it's more than just a scholarship check. It's more than us just providing some monetary support for you all to go to college. Now, we do know that the monetary support is important, but we also too know that an important support system is also too just as critical to help you all persist and graduate and obtain your degree. And so we offer a lot more services than just providing you monetary support to get your scholarship. So we're going to walk you through all of the great things that the Dell Scholars Program provides in addition to scholarship funds. So for our program, all of our students who become Dell Scholars receive a $20,000 scholarship. And how that scholarship is dispersed is it is $5,000 per academic year. In addition to that, we're offering support from an academic standpoint, from a financial standpoint, and even emotional life challenges that prevent students from completing college. We also too provide you with a Dell laptop that includes a 4-year warranty. In addition to that, we provide you with Chegg textbook credits. This is $500 a year for 4 years, and they can be used to cover the cost of books, rentals, tutoring services, and anything that the Chegg website offers for you in order to be able to persist and use that towards obtaining your degree. In addition, we also too are providing services. We know that sometimes, our students are going to need support, whether it be legal resources, work-life solutions, managing stress, even childcare. And so we do also to offer a platform that the program covers the cost for all of our students to receive services as they're needed. And in addition to that, we also too provide a teletherapy service where we connect students to professional counseling. So in addition to that $20,000 scholarship, these are some, just to name and highlight, of the things that you also too will receive that we consider wraparound support to help you get through college. In order to apply for our scholarship, as you all know, you're part of the AVID program. AVID is an approved program, which is a college readiness program, and you guys are all approved to participate in and apply for our scholarship. So you must participate in AVID your 11th and 12th grade year. You must be on track to graduate. So our scholarships are for high school seniors that have at least a 2.4 GPA. You have to demonstrate a financial need. And what that means is you have to be eligible to receive the federal Pell Grant in the first year of college. And then you also too have to plan to enroll in an accredited institution and obtaining your bachelor's degree. So the goal is that you want to be obtaining your bachelor's degree. And these are the eligibilities in order to be able to apply for our scholarship. We often get asked who should apply? What are our idea candidates and what does that mean? And we always like to use that acronym GPA, which stands for grit, potential, and ambition. And so when we think about a student that shows grit, this is taking, action to overcome personal challenges in life that you have experienced, whether it's related to your family, school, or communities. And when we really think about potential, it's just by, actually being part of AVID and participating in a college readiness program and seeking out academic rigor. And as far as ambition, you're really preparing yourselves and you're planning for your dream of graduating with a college degree. And, so if you really think about it, just think of the acronym GPA, that grit, that potential, and that ambition. Now, I want to talk to you all about some key dates that are really important. As you all can see here, we opened our application on October the 1st. Our application does close here in about 3 weeks. So on December the 1st, that is the deadline for the initial application. And again, as I mentioned earlier, it literally only takes 10 minutes. To complete our application. So if you have not completed your application, if you have not started, as soon as we get off this call, literally it will take you 10 minutes to do that. On December the 10th, we're going to announce our semifinalist. If you become a Dell Scholar semifinalist, then you will move to the next phase of the application process, and you will be required to provide some additional materials. Which is usually consists of like your transcript, proof that you filed your FAFSA, and some other materials. From there, we do announce our Dell Scholars on March the 18th, 2024. And one thing that I really, really want to point out and stress to you all is that Dell Scholars graduate at 2 times the national average of their peers. So this is a really good program to be a part of that offers a lot of resources and a lot of support to ensure that you do persist and graduate from college. It's a great program. Don't delay. Go and complete your application. One thing I want to share with you all here is just a quick video. So on this video, this is Kevin. He is a Dell Scholar alumni, and he's going to just talk to you all about just his experience and what he has accomplished as far as being a part of our program and being a Dell Scholar. So I'm going to start this video, and then we can all watch it together.
Sometimes running through life, I feel like you're going to encounter paths that are going to be smooth, well-lit, and other points in life, you're going to find paths that are going to be rugged and unfamiliar territory. I always felt that I had the responsibility as the oldest child in my family to help my parents in any way I could. They sacrificed so much in their life to put me in the position where I am today. I never looked at college to be really as a path I would take. I didn't think it was fit for me, and I didn't think it would actually have a better outcome for myself or my family. It wasn't until my teachers, my counselor, influenced me to think outside of the box. So that's specifically when I started looking into scholarships. my counselor recommended the Dell Scholars because she said, hey, it's a really good scholarship. They help you out, not only financially, but they help you out in the long term. And in my head, I was kind of like, well, I'm sure, but there's a lot of other good students. What makes me stand out? My counselor told me, you should still try. Have some faith in yourself. Once I got the Dell Scholarship, I was excited and motivated to go into college and finish. After graduating, I was extremely motivated to go out, start building my career, and taking that next leap into my future. Working as a cybersecurity consultant, I get to work with people not only in the United States, but I get to work with people across Latin America. I get to help people that I feel I have a personal connection with. My overall goal when going to college was not only to achieve a higher education, but to actually be able to provide for my family and give back to them. Now, after graduating college with the career that I have, I am able to confidently say that I can. I know the process for becoming a Dell Scholar can be hard, but it's something that will change your life entirely.
So thank you for taking the time out to watch that video with me. As you can see, Kevin provided some background on how the Dell Scholars Program supported him and the achievements that he has made. So just one more thing, just to remind you all that, you know, we're really here to support you, to help you achieve your college ambitions. And we want you to complete your application by December the 1st. So please don't delay. Remember, the application does close December the 1st, and it literally only takes about 10 minutes to complete. So I am going to pause here, and we are going to open up for some discussion and allow you all to ask any questions that you may have.
Thank you so much for that overview, Sonia. One thing that really stood out from the presentation is that the Dell Scholars Program is not just a scholarship. It's a really great support system. It provides important resources such as support to help get you through the financial and emotional challenges that you might face in college. And as a Dell Scholar, you're also part of a community that spans the entire US. It's such an awesome opportunity. So now that you all know a little more about the program from what Sonia has shared with us, we are going to transition over to the question and answer portion of our webinar. So for all of you who have already submitted questions, thank you. If you haven't submitted a question yet, please use the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen, and we'll answer as many questions today as we can. So I'm going to kick us off with our first question. And we had one person wanting to know if the PowerPoint that's being used in the presentation today is going to be provided at the end of this meeting.
Yes, you all will have access to this. So Cindy actually has access to our toolkit, and this presentation is listed there. So she will get the presentation out to all of the counselors and the students so that they can have access to it as needed.
Perfect. Thank you, Sonia, and great question. We have another question. Can you provide additional information on the federal Pell Grant requirement?
Yeah, so we, as the Dell Scholars Program, do not set the parameters around Pell Grant and the eligibility. That is done at the federal level. And so basically what will be happening is you probably have been working or have heard from some of your avid counselors that you're going to need to complete the FAFSA in order to receive scholarships and any type of aid for college. Normally that process opens on October the 1st, but there are a lot of federal changes that are taking place right now. And so that process has not opened and it has been delayed. From our understanding, it is expected to open sometime in December. The date has not been finalized. It could be early as December the 1st or late as December the 31st, but that still does not prevent you from being able to apply for the Dell Scholarship. So if you do become a Dell Scholar semi-finalist, you will have to provide proof that you've applied for the FAFSA. And so that documentation isn't due until after FAFSA opens. So you still will have an opportunity to apply for the Pell Grant and apply for FAFSA to see if you are eligible for that Pell Grant. Now, most students say, like, what if I don't know if I am Pell eligible prior to like documentation being due for semifinalists? You go ahead and just provide proof that you applied for FAFSA. You upload that information. All of our students are conditionally awarded our scholarship. So once you find out if you become Pell eligible, you will provide us that documentation. If anything comes up where the school's asking for more documentation in order to grant you that Pell Grant, we at the Dell Scholars Program, if you become a finalist, work with you to resolve those issues. So we're not going to leave you hanging. We're going to do everything that we possibly can to support you all through that process to ensure that you do gain Pell. Now, I will say that there are things beyond our control, depending on your family's income, that could prevent you from getting Pell. We have no control over what the federal laws are and what parameters they set around that amount. One of our requirements is that you just have to be Pell eligible, even if it's only $1 of Pell. As long as you are Pell eligible and you become a finalist, you can receive the Dell Scholarship. Again, we do work with you very closely if you have to provide additional documentation to become Pell. But that's as much as I can tell you about Pell. As far as like what those thresholds are, if you will or will not become Pell eligible, once you complete the FAFSA and provide the documentation that they ask for, then from the federal level, they will contact you and provide you with that information.
Thank you, Sonia. That's really helpful. I know that's a question that we do hear often, so appreciate you answering that. And I do see we have a hand raised. If you could go ahead and put your question that you have in the question and answer feature, that would be awesome. If you're having trouble with the question and answer feature, you can go ahead and put it in the chat and we'll go ahead and get to that. But if you can just type in your question, we would appreciate it. So we have another question here, and it is, what do Dell Scholars look like academically?
Yeah, so as you can see, our requirements is you have to have at least a 2.4 GPA. So when our founders really thought about creating this scholarship, we wanted to be able to create a scholarship that wasn't so much based on merit, right? We do know that it is important to be, academic ready for college, which is why we use the approved college readiness programs that we use. But we also, too, wanted to provide a scholarship that could support students that may not be really on the high academic performing end. And so we've set our threshold as a 2.4 GPA for our students. So as long as you have at least a 2.4 GPA, you can apply for our scholarship. And I would say our Dell Scholars are all over the map. We have students that are on the lower range of that 2.4 or right at the 2.4. And we do have students that probably average about a 3.0, but it is a little bit all over. And you having a 2.4 and someone having a 3.0 doesn't prohibit you from getting the scholarship. We've set the 2.4 for a reason. And so all of our students are falling within that 2.4 to 3.0 range. So hopefully that was helpful.
Thank you, Sonia. We have a question from someone who is on the webinar right now, and they wanted to know, do I need an account on the Dell Scholar website in order to apply for the scholarship? Because I'm trying to apply right now, and it is not allowing me to enter information on the scholarship application.
Yes, in order to apply for the scholarship, you have to complete the eligibility quiz first. So you would need to log into the website, and then you would need to click the section for scholarship, and then it's going to say, click here to see if you're eligible. You take an eligibility quiz. It's a few questions. Basically, it's asking you, are you part of a college readiness program? Because it wants to verify that. It's asking you, do you have at least a 2.4 GPA? A couple other questions. Once you pass that, then it lets you into the application to create your application. So if you bypass that eligibility quiz and you try to go just to accessing your application, then you will not be able to do that without completing the eligibility quiz first. That's the first stage of that. And if you're still having trouble with it, chime back in and let us know, and we can make sure that we walk you through that before we get off the call.
Perfect. Thank you. So we have another question. What do you look for in a student when going through applicants?
So we have a selection committee. So the Dell Scholars Program itself does not score the applications. We actually have a selection committee. And when they're reviewing your application, everyone is fully trained to look for what we expect our Dell Scholars to look like. And again, that goes over the requirements that we talked about earlier, so that they're looking for that at least a 2.4 GPA. They're looking to make sure that you have some course rigor, so that you've challenged yourself a little bit academically. Maybe you didn't get A or a B, but you did try to take a dual credit class and you got a C. That's still considered challenging yourself because of your course rigor. So we're looking for those students. We're looking for those students that display the GPA that we talked about, the grit, the ambition, the potential. So students who really can talk to any adversity that they've overcome, and how that has shaped them into what they are today, and how that has challenge them and how they have overcome things. And so we really look for a wide range of, different attributes in our Dell Scholars, but I would just say those are some of the common things that we do look for.
Thank you, Sonia. And these are such great questions. You all have come up with some really, really good ones. So even if you've already asked a question, put another one in there. We love answering these. Sonia is an expert on this, and she loves answering any questions you have, because we know it just helps you out when you're doing your application. So don't be shy. Put your questions there. And if you think, oh, I don't know about this question, everyone else probably knows it, they probably don't. So if you have that question, someone else probably has it too. So I really encourage you to keep putting your questions in the Q&A feature. So I wanted to go ahead and hope that we can address a couple questions that come up frequently, just in case you all might have these in mind too. So one of the questions that we have is, what documents and information do I need to provide in the application?
So then in the original application phase, which we just talked about, that only takes about 10 minutes, there's no documentation. So you're basically answering a subset of questions. You're providing information about your grades, your CRP, your counselor, and then there's some really a short open-ended answer that you need to make there too as well. So there's no documentation. If you do become a Dell Scholar finalist, which we announce on December the 10th, then you would be required at that point to provide additional documentation. This is when you would provide a copy of your transcript. It does not have to be, it could be a screenshot of your grades, like however you get your transcript. So it doesn't have to be like certified or official transcript. So you would be providing that at that time. In addition to that, you will be providing that you've applied for FAFSA. Now, as we have discussed, semifinalists does open on December the 10th. There is a chance that FAFSA will not be open at that time. So do keep that in mind, but don't let that prevent you from doing everything else that you need to do. And then that would be the last thing that you have to do, and you'll have until January the 27th to get that done. So there's plenty of time once FAFSA opens for you to be able to complete FAFSA, to get proof of Pell or confirmation page that you can upload there at that time. So right now, for the 10-minute easy phase, go and do it right now. There's no documentation, so nothing should hold you up from that. And then if you do become a semifinalist, you'll have that transcript and then the proof of your FAFSA filing.
Wonderful. So that first phase, easy, nothing to provide. So go ahead and do it. Awesome. So another question we get often, and Sonia, you talked about this a little bit already, but just for anyone who might be logging on a little bit late, where can I find the application?
Yeah, so it's if you go to Dell Scholars, and that's with an S, so dellscholars.org, and then you put apply, the application is right there. Again, you're going to have to complete the eligibility phase first in order to apply for the application. Now, if you've already done the eligibility phase and you've passed the eligibility phase and you need to log back in, there you will be provided a link where you could just click and then you will be able to access your application. Keep in mind too that you can keep going back in and updating your application, making changes to it until it actually closes on the deadline date. So you can do that too as well. So do keep that in mind as well. If you, for Avid, there was a question that just came in, but for Avid, and if that is like if you're part of 2 CRP programs, but say you're using Avid, you have to use your Avid counselor's email address in order to pass the eligibility quiz. If you try to use someone else's, like with a Gmail or a different email, you are going to fail the eligibility quiz.
So just to clarify, Sonia, the question that we got in the chat was, is the counselor email my guidance counselor's email or my Avid teacher's email?
It's the Avid teachers.
Avid teachers. Okay. Thank you for that. So we had another frequently asked question, and it pairs really nicely with a question that we got in the Q&A. So when will scholars be notified of the semifinalist and finalist stage, and how will the semifinalist be notified and announced?
Yeah, so we will notify you via email. So you will see an email. There's other ways that you could be notified too as well, like maybe if your counselor knows too as well. But we do notify all of our students via email. They get an email from the Dell Scholars Program letting them know that they have become a semifinalist and what the next steps are. Unfortunately, we wish we could award every single person. We just can't. But if you happen to be one of those individuals that do not become a finalist, we will also to email you. We won't leave you hanging. You will receive an email too as well. And we also too will provide resources and other scholarship information in there too to help you along the way. That's one way to be notified. Another way is by logging into the application on the announcement date. And it'll tell you to, once you log in, it'll say, congratulations, you've become a semifinalist too as well. So that's another way that you can learn to as well. Again, we do announce semifinalist on December the 10th. So you will find out on that day. And then all the deadline information is due by January the 27th. And then we announce our new cohort of Dell Scholars on March the 18th. So you will find out at that time, March the 18th, if you became a Dell Scholar.
Wonderful. And that is so exciting. Such a really neat email to get. So just building on that question, part of it is focused on how is that information announced? So we know how the students are informed. Is that announced anywhere publicly?
For just the privacy of our students, we do not announce it publicly. We used to in the past. So for those of you who may have siblings or know someone else who may be a Dell Scholar, their situation may have been a little bit differently, but just for just privacy of our students, about 2-3 years ago, we've stopped publicizing that information.
Thank you for that, Sonia. So I wanted to go back to the question that we had about the counselor email versus Avid teacher email. So we said you want to put your Avid teacher's email when it's asking for your counselor email. And the question is it their school email? And I believe the answer to that is yes, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. Thank you for that, Sonia.
Welcome.
And let me see here. So I have another question that we often get from students, and it's, do I need my FAFSA student aid index to complete the application by December 1st? So I think you covered most of this, but I just want to see if there's any additional thoughts you had on this.
No, so you don't. So the the actual initial application stage that closes here coming up on the first, you do not need that documentation. You need no documentation whatsoever. You just complete the application at that time by the deadline date. If you become a semi-finalist, then that will be announced on December the 10th. You'll have until January the 27th, but that's when you'll be required to provide your student aid index at that time. It could still be called SAR, so I don't want to confuse everyone. There's a lot of things up in the air with just federal releasing FAFSA, but just know it's going to be whatever your confirmation page is after you complete FAFSA. That is what you will upload. So it may be SAR, it may be student aid index, but just wanted to make sure I reference both of those so I don't cause confusion for students. Unfortunately, we still just don't know where we're going to land with that, and we won't know more until they open FAFSA.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I see another question. How many semifinalists are chosen?
So it's hard to really gauge how many semifinalists are chosen just because it depends on how many applicants we get every year. And we don't know how many applicants we're going to have until the tool actually closes and students complete the application on the deadline date. So that does vary. It varies a lot. I would say probably on an average, and again, this is me hypothetically speaking because I don't know how many we're going to have, but maybe about 15 to 1,600 semifinalists, and then we award 500 Dell Scholars.
Great, that sounds awesome. And I'm going through because I'm seeing a couple more questions come in. So one question, and this is one that Sonia may want to tackle later at a different time, but maybe you have some troubleshooting tips. So someone shared, I made an account, but it will not actually let me start my application, although it said I was eligible. Do you have any tips on that, Sonia?
Ooh, I don't. Cindy, if you can get their information and then get an email over to me, maybe I can get it over to our tech support.
Yeah.
But yeah, that would definitely be a tech thing.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Perfect. So any last questions before we wrap up today? Go ahead and put them in the Q&A. I'll take about 10 more seconds because I want to give you time. Hopefully you type fast. If you don't worry. There's plenty of opportunities to get your questions over to Dell. Right. Well, I think we are going to wrap up for today. And like I said, don't worry if you have a question that pops up later. That's great. You can go ahead and reach out to Dell. So I hope you all learned a lot during this webinar. Thank you so much for attending, and thank you, Sonia, for sharing this information with us and providing answers to these really great questions. If we weren't able to get to your questions today, or if you have additional questions, please reach out to the Dell Scholars team. The email is apply@dellscholars.org, or you can call 1-877-600-5587, and it's option 1. The phone lines are open Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Central Time. So thank you again. And remember, the application closes December 1st. We encourage you to apply today, and good luck.